Well, guys, we're back for another episode of the Liberal Asshole Show, episode 105. And what are today's topics?
Kulinski freaks out over Russian warships, the end of Alex Jones, Charlie Kirk triggered by liberal Christians, Just Stop Oil vandalized Stone Hedge, Russia running out of tanks, Thailand legalizes gay marriage, and based cop stops scammer.
Alright, so there's only one of these topics that doesn't have a video, so maybe we should get that over with first.
Sure, which one's that one?
And that is, Base Thailand legalizes gay marriage. Let's
Yay!
go! Now, unfortunately, they have to wait 4 months before it officially goes into effect, which sucks.
Yeah.
Just like how it was in Maryland,
still like
2 months. But hey,
the fact
US,
it's a thing at all is awesome.
Yep. First country in Southeast Asia to legalize it. Let's go! Just like a few months ago, remember when we covered when Greece legalized it? Absolutely based. Hopefully that will finally get the rest of Southeast Asia to get with the times already, people. And the rest of you all over the world. But yeah, very good and all that. Couldn't find any polls on it, because I think it was more like a decree, or like a law pass, not like a referendum like how it was for a lot of other places. But yeah, we're going to see about that. Base Thailand for once.
Pretty awesome, I will say, yeah.
Yep. Just sucks you gotta wait 4 more months, but then you'll finally get more freedom over there. Good.
Mm-hmm.
And trigger conservatives once again like Kirk coming up.
Yep.
So, get fuck homophobes, gay marriage all the way, and gay rights everywhere.
Yep.
Alright, so now, with that quick one out of the way, what do we cover first?
Kulinski being an American diabolist and an American hermit statist.
And a Karen, and a baby.
And yep, and a fucktard.
So, yeah, guys, I'm sure you've all heard, like in the last week or so, Russia had some warships in Cuba recently for some military exercise and stuff. And for all of you who don't know, this is actually very common. This actually happened last year. And do you remember anyone covering it? Because I sure don't.
No.
They've done this regularly for years. This is like nothing new. It's only like maybe 2 ships at most. Like absolutely nothing to be scared of and all that. They did military exercises, if I'm correct. Today was supposed to be the last day, so they might be on their way out very soon. So yeah, all this freak out about nothing, and oh boy, it somehow, for I don't know what reason, scared the absolute crap out of Kyle. I have no idea why he would be scared. And it was really funny how pathetic he was scared and all that. And he compared this to a new Cuban Missile Crisis.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, sure, because nuclear weapons were placed on Cuba. No. Oh my god, this is just so sad and pathetic. So, let's watch Kyle being triggered and unbased.
Alright guys, so this is big and very bad news. 2 Russian warships have approached Cuba ahead of military exercises in the Caribbean. So, as you all know, the Ukraine and Russia war is raging on. There's been a lot of stories in the news recently about Ukraine is just conscripting more and more and more. Russia did some conscription thing too. A lot of people fled Russia. A lot of people fled Ukraine. But they're conscripting more and more, and they got guys who are really old. They have people with mental disabilities that
because they're legally not allowed to conscript younger people, pretty much. The youngest they conscript, because of the recent law changes, is like 25, I think. They're trying to conserve their younger people. Of course, conscription's still wrong, but that's the reality of it. And of course, since Kyle and others won't point out, Russia's facing the same problems too. Whatever Ukraine's problems facing, Russia is too. Both sides are facing problems, but for some reason only people bring up Ukrainian issues.
Yeah, it's because they're susceptible to Russian hate speech.
Into their military. Of course, every few months we hear, oh my god, they can't hold out any longer. They need billions of dollars.
You think you could get the video a bit louder, Tim? I can barely hear it.
Kyle, they can hold out. That's why the front lines have been pretty much not changed for like almost 2 years now. And of course he was crying about, oh, we keep giving weapons like every few months. So yeah, because they run out that quickly. No shit, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But of course, you're an idiot, as we saw like last year or whatever, when you didn't realize that.
There's more worth of weapons. And look, at some point, it doesn't matter how many weapons you give. If you don't have the people you need to win the war, how the fuck are you going to win the war?
Looking at you, Russia.
So, it's a rough situation. There was a minute there where it looked like Ukraine was crushing Russia, and then as the war dragged on...
I'm sure, Kyle, you're probably going to be triggered by this, but ever since America and the West finally started giving them the okay to attack stuff in Russia, they've been very devastating to them lately. So, I don't know how much longer it's going to be for them either.
It became a war of attrition, and suddenly the fact that you have a bigger military and more money becomes a massive, massive advantage. And now the general consensus is really Ukraine's only holding them off. At some point, Russia's going to effectively win the war, whatever that
they're
looks
not, Kyle.
No, they're not, Kyle, you American diabolist.
Right.
The one who wants and the one who wants Russia and China to be the only powers, because he wants Russia to take over all of Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia. Because USA bad because he's an American diabolist and a Chinese and a China lover.
And of course, he'd probably be so scared he'll probably just give him Alaska back just like that.
It'd probably just be like, by the way, Russia, China, you can have any country you want. I'm so scared.
You can have all our states if you want.
Yep, you can have every country on the planet. We don't care.
Now
because the threat of nuclear war is so bad that everyone that we all need to be ruled by China.
Sending their ships to right by our doorstep, right in the Caribbean.
Kyle,
not really.
Kyle, 2 warships. You're afraid of 2 ships? Dude, probably almost everyone in the Caribbean probably could destroy those easily, let alone us. You're scared of 2 ships? Come on.
Of course he is.
Well,
remember, he's scared. Remember, he's a scared little snowflake now.
Just like
who can't handle having anything around.
Just like, remember his cringy-ass peace plan that we covered years ago, how scared he and Chris were of World War III?
Yep.
And we'll discuss it. So, a fleet of Russian warships on Wednesday began entering the Caribbean in what some see as a projection of strength as tensions grow over Western
2 ships! I'm so scared!
The first 2 ships slowly crossed the mouth of the Havana Bay under a downpour. The ships were accompanied by small boats that guided them through the narrow entrance channel. The U.S. military expects the exercises will involve a handful of Russian ships and support vessels, which may also stop in Venezuela. Russia is a longtime ally of Venezuela and Cuba, and its warships and aircraft have periodically made forays into the Caribbean. But this mission comes less than 2 weeks after President Joe Biden authorized Ukraine to use U.S.-provided weapons to strike inside Russia to protect Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city, prompting President Vladimir Putin to suggest his military could respond with asymmetrical steps elsewhere in the world. So, let's talk about this for a second. At the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine war, you'll remember the U.S. was, while they were helping Ukraine, there was a tone of caution coming from Biden, coming from his administration. You know, the idea was, how do we do a tit for tat without escalating, without doing something that Putin can view as an escalation, right? This was the conversation. So, for example, Ukraine got a lot of weapons, but certain weapons were held back from them. Certain long-range weapons, for example, they're like, we're not going to give you that because if you use that, you're going to shoot into Russia. That's going to be an escalation. Who knows?
Funny enough, though, ever since the second day of the war, they have been shooting in Russian territory. So nothing's happened. Like, guys, we covered this before. Every single red line Putin has said has been broken. Nothing's happened except for invading Crimea. It's the only one left that the red line that hasn't been done yet because it's not possible at the moment. But everything else has been broken.
What they will do in response. This effectively, it's a proxy war that we're in, which makes us somewhat responsible. We don't want to escalate. We don't want war, but we want to give you the ability to defend yourself, right? So there were all these rules around, sure, they can have weapons, but they can only have defensive weapons. They can have some small arms, but they can't have fighter jets. They can't have these long-range weapons. And slowly but surely over time, those rules that were built up were peeled away one by one. Okay, we said you couldn't have that kind of weapon, but, you know, you're doing kind of rough, so here, you could have that kind of weapon. Sure, we said no long-range missiles, but you're kind of in trouble here. Here's some long-range missiles. Right? And what we've seen here is the definition
to stop their Kharkiv offensive, which we're going to get into the casualties later because, you already know about the last almost 2 months now of the casualties they take.
The numbers are huge.
Just wait till you see how many tanks they've lost lately when we get to it.
Of what's called mission creep. And there were articles the other week that said the U.S. effectively gave the green light, a little wink and a nod, where they were like, okay, if you want to attack inside Russia, I mean, you're defending yourself.
Not just America, most of the West, too. It's not just us.
Go ahead. But again, we are now partly responsible for that because we are providing the weapons that are used in order to do that, right? So it's bad because mission creep is a terrifying thing. Who knows where it ends, right? You have this tit for tat, and you have people going one step further, then one step further, then one step further.
Not necessarily.
At some point,
they haven't really been doing much, have they?
Yeah, what could Russia do, Kyle?
Respond.
Like what?
Yeah.
What
There's
can Russia
not
do?
much they really. Well, to be fair, there's not much they really can do.
Can do that they can get away with. Because what? Attack America or NATO? That would be absolutely stupid. Use nuclear weapons? That would be suicide. Like, there's literally nothing else they could do left that they can get away with without any sort of consequences. Like, that's why every single red line has been broken, except the Crimea one.
No further to go.
Which is why, Kyle, you should realize, oh, they're all bluffs, and we should go full speed ahead.
It actually, this really
And
is echoes of the Cuban
designed
Missile
to
Crisis.
scare people like you into wanting to give Russia all of Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia.
Which, of course, we kind of bonded that too, but then once we see the reality of it, unlike Kyle, we changed our minds.
Because that's where Russia is
Carl's an
moving ships.
idiot.
Most of all
Carl's
the
an
warships that
American
continue are a
hermitist.
reminder
He
to
thinks
Washington
that
that
America
it is
should be a hermit state, and Russia and China should be allowed to do whatever the fuck they want.
unpleasant when an adversary meddles in your near abroad, said Benjamin Gedden, director of the Latin America program in the Washington-based Wilson Center think tank.
Fuck off from
referring
Israel,
to
Kyle.
Western involvement
Fuck off
in
from every
Russia's
other
war
country
in
on the
Ukraine.
planet. We know
It
that
also
you're an
reminds
American diabolist.
Russia's
and you want
friends in the
China to
region,
rule
including
the
U.S.
world.
antagonists Cuba and Venezuela, that Moscow is on their side. Although the fleet includes a nuclear-powered submarine, a senior U.S. administration official told the Associated Press that the intelligence community has determined no vessel is carrying nuclear weapons. The official, who spoke on the condition of anonymity to provide details that had not been announced publicly, said Russia's deployments pose no direct threat to the United States.
Yeah, Kyle. So why are you so scared about? Why are you so scared about? You're scared of 2 ships. 2 freaking ships.
He's scared. He's a fucking snowflake, remember?
I know. You know what I heard when I heard this a few weeks ago? I was like, okay, I don't care.
U.S. officials last week said the Russian ships were expected to remain in the region through the summer. It's actually interesting to me that the tone of the U.S. government and the tone of the media is trying to downplay Russia doing this.
Yeah, because it's not a big deal, Kyle. They've been doing it for a while, for crying out loud. Oh my gosh.
Honestly, I view that as more of a good sign. If they were really doing the routine where it's like, oh my God, this is a threat. Oh my God, they could attack any minute. Oh my God, the U.S. president must act. That would put pressure on Biden to
America's
then
not afraid of
escalate even
warships.
further.
Oh my God, Carl, you're being a fucking idiot. You're being an imperialist there.
Kyle, every country in Central America and the Gulf of Mexico would probably crush those 2 ships if they really wanted to with no effort. Pretty much everyone probably has more ships than them. Like, come on.
So I don't know why they're taking this more moderate, neutral tone, but it's better
because they realize it's not a threat. That's why.
Exactly.
And we're getting the hair on fire stuff, which could have
Which is
dire
what you're
consequences,
doing and
right?
what
Remember,
you
people
want.
don't realize how close we got to total annihilation during the Cuban Missile Crisis. This is not something I want to
Kyle,
relive.
this is not the
you
same
know?
as the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Cuban Missile Crisis, you
Russian ships
fucktard.
have occasionally docked in Havana since 2008 when a group of... Stinky, stop pressing the table. Be a good girl. Be a good girl, Stinky. Be a good girl. Be a good girl. Where was I? Russian ships have occasionally docked in Havana since 2008 when a group of Russian vessels entered Cuban waters in what state media described as the first such visit in almost 2 decades. In 2015, a reconnaissance and communication ship arrived unannounced in Havana a day before the start of discussions between U.S. and Cuban officials on the reopening of diplomatic relations. The good old days of 2015 when Obama every now and then would do something good like the Iran nuclear deal or normalizing with Cuba.
Thank you, Trump.
Those days are long gone, bro. Long gone. A State Department spokesperson told the AP that Russia's port calls in Cuba are routine naval visits, while acknowledging its military exercises have ratcheted up because of U.S. support to Ukraine and exercise activity in support of our NATO allies. So look, again, it's just a proxy war at this point. And everybody knows it. There's just a proxy war.
There's more to it than that, Kyle.
You gotta start looking for an off-ramp.
It's not quite.
Yeah. There's more to it in that regard.
Looking for an end to the
but in that case, it's also a proxy war between America and China, America and North Korea, America and Iran, America and Armenia, America and Kazakhstan, America and all these other countries.
America, Philippines, and China recently, remember?
Yep.
And Vietnam.
Yes, but I also did... Yep. But I remember I also
and of course, Taiwan.
Yep.
Everywhere. Like, Kyle, you gotta be a little bit more nuanced on
the
this.
destruction and the carnage and the escalation and the
But he
firing back and
can't
forth.
because he's a scared little snowflake who wants America to be a hermit state and wants China to rule the world.
You gotta stop. We're either gonna end it now in some sort of diplomatic fashion, or we're gonna end it in 2 or 3 years in a diplomatic fashion, or it's gonna spiral out of control and we're gonna have World War III.
Kyle, neither side wants peace, though. That's the problem, though, Kyle. Neither side wants peace. They're irreconcilable. They have irreconcilable demands. So only war is going to fix it. Which, of course, give Ukraine all the weapons they can to kick Russian Nazis out, take back all their territory, and then we could discuss peace then. So yeah,
and remember, it's not just it's not just Christian Nazis, because the Chechens are also Islamic Nazis. So
yeah, Kyle. You're being way too stupid. Come on.
I mean, there's only certain...
And also, the only way it's going to go to World War III or anything like that is if Russia does something stupid. We're not going to do anything to cause it.
Ways it can end, right? There's only certain ways it can end. Why not do the thing that leads to the least amount of death and destruction?
By helping Ukraine kick Russian Nazis out. That's how we end the war the quickest and fastest way possible.
And the least amount of putting us in danger. Yeah, I don't know. This seems like kind of a big deal.
It's not a big deal,
This seems
Kyle.
like kind of a big deal. And since we've seen the mission creep in the U.S., and by the way, I should make this point. The notion shouldn't even enter your mind that, oh, these are serious people and they'll find a way. Because what's going on in Israel and Gaza should totally disabuse you of that notion. The idea, oh, these are adults. These are serious people. They'll figure it out. You know, it'll end in a positive way.
The only non-adult in that room is Bibi and his big fat baby mouth recently that pissed off the American government. Lying that the American government was withholding weapons. I wish, but they're not. And now you pissed off Biden, so thank you. I appreciate that. Keep opening your big mouth, Bibi. Please do.
It always does. Like
Please
that.
don't
think that way.
Please.
Because it's not true.
Make Biden Bernie angry mad. Please. Now maybe he'll be base for once.
What Israel should prove to you is that we are led by complete and utter dead-eyed psychopaths. Straight up.
I don't think Biden's that
And they're
now.
just responding to lobbyist money and donor money and institutional pressure and media garbage and it's
then
just
again,
a
so
perfect
is
stew of complete
while Trump is
idiocy
going
and
around
callousness.
raging.
Oh yeah, Kyle.
Raging.
Which is funny because remember you covered last time I think it was that Trump wanted to bomb Russia and China too if they attacked Taiwan. Remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
Disregard for life. So all the decisions vis-a-vis Ukraine, and by the way, for the record, I understand backing Ukraine is a much more noble thing. They were illegally invaded by Russia. Backing them is a much more noble thing than backing Israel. In fact, it would be more analogous
you
to
don't
supporting
really seem to want to support Ukraine, which is pretty
Exactly.
pathetic.
Ukraine and the Palestinians.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But having said that, don't get it twisted. These motherfuckers are the same dumbasses who are doing everything wrong in Israel, and that should make you look extra skeptically at the decisions they're making here as well. So it turns out, given the green light to Ukraine to use our weapons to attack in Russia, that has consequences, man.
I'm still waiting for these consequences.
Really?
Kyle, they've been doing this. I kid you not, guys. They've been doing this since the second day, February 25th. They attacked a oil refinery for crying out loud. They've been doing this for over 2 years. Nothing's happened. Nothing is... I can't say nothing's going to happen, but I'm pretty sure nothing's going to happen any more than what's already happening.
People have thought this stuff through in any way, shape, or form, and that should terrify you. Hey, y'all, do me...
What terrifies me is how much of a pussy you are, Kyle. That's pathetic.
Well, we know that he's... remember, he's an American diabolist, so he hates America. He wants a hermit state, America to turn into a hermit state, withdraw from literally everything because of how bad America is. And he wants China to take over the world.
I'm glad that you got almost 1,000 dislikes in your video, me included, and there's people dunk on you in the comments because Kyle, you need to grow up.
I'm reading those.
You need to grow up really badly. I don't think we were as bad as you, but once we realized the situation, unlike you, we had to change our minds on it. And Kyle, here's the thing: you're smart. You're an honest person, unlike Hassan and other people like him.
Yep.
You need to talk to people that disagree with you. I think we can get you to change your mind on this issue because it's pretty obvious and all that. So yeah, we're gonna see about Kyle being such an absolute pussy on this.
Because he's well, as we know, he's fucking. Well, again, I'll keep repeating it until I'm blue in the face. He's an American diabolist, so he hates America. He wants America to be a hermit state that doesn't interact with anyone about anything ever, and he wants China to rule the world.
First step, the Philippines now recently. Alright, so now we're done with Kyle being a pussy. What's next?
After Kyle being... yes, the end of Alex Jones, potentially.
Oh boy! So recently, I don't think we've ever really covered Alex Jones's lawsuits before, which of course happened a long time ago, but now he has the potential of having his assets seized and all that to pay off what he owes for all the Sandy Hook victims and such. And oh boy, he had a crybaby meltdown, which was hilarious on his show and all that. Now, of course, it hasn't happened yet. Nothing's happened to him in that regard yet. Something might not even happen for all we know. We have no idea. But it's on the news. He acted like a fool. And all this is, of course, his own fault for his stupidity, what he said about the Sandy Hook victims and all that. So let's see what happens about Alex Jones' downfall, ?
So the other day, guys, we talked about Alex Jones and how he was basically breaking down and crying on air and saying that the feds are about to seize the studio and he's going to lose everything and all this. And, well, suffice to say, it didn't happen that day. It didn't happen the next day.
Maybe
and as of right now, it still hasn't happened.
Of course it is.
But some new articles came out and they shed some light on what is going to happen moving forward. So this is in Mother Jones. They say Alex Jones is liquidating his assets to pay the Sandy Hook families. So you guys remember he's got to pay like $1.5 billion to the victims.
He probably didn't even have $1.5 billion either. Oh my goodness.
Of the shooting at Sandy Hook. You know, their kids died. And
you gotta wonder if he could potentially file for bankruptcy to try and weasel his way out of a lot of that. Because
he tried.
Oh, he did?
He's tried, and it didn't work.
Oof. Because I highly doubt he has $1.5 billion in assets.
And then they were defamed by Alex on his show.
I mean, he might have, like, I don't know.
Definitely $1 million.
Bits of stuff might be like maybe $1 billion, and then he's got like $500,000 of supplies.
I don't even know if he has $1 billion in assets. Definitely in the tens of millions at the minimum.
Really committed suicide. A lot of them were harassed day in and day out. So they say he's going to liquidate his assets. So let me give you some more of the specifics because some of the things are actually still up in the air in terms of what will happen going forward. Alex Jones started the process of liquidating his assets on Friday, taking the initial steps toward paying the $1.5 billion he owes families of the 2022 Sandy Hook school shooting. Jones runs the popular InfoWars media platform where he repeatedly described the shooting, which killed 20 first-grade students and 6 teachers, as a hoax. Families of victims filed
Alex Jones, this is pretty much all your fault. You shouldn't have said that it was a hoax and encourage your viewers to harass the families of the victims of the Sandy Hook shooting. You're not rational, and your viewers are even less rational. And that's the problem with you conspiracy theorists. You need to just accept the fact that sometimes, well, most times, things are just how they are. The reality was, the Sandy Hook shooting was real. It wasn't a hoax. It wasn't a government thing to try and take all your guns and all that. After like 12 years, I would think you would realize that was the case by now. Like, sometimes it's just the reality of the situation. But of course, you conspiracy theorists, nut jobs, have to think everything is a conspiracy, because the reality is, I think it's more of, you're just all contrarians that just want to be edgy and all that.
Defamation suits against Jones and InfoWars, and while Jones eventually conceded in court that the shooting was real, it was too late to save him from legal action. I bet that hurt so much you saying that, Courts in Texas and Connecticut awarded the families massive damages. In an effort to avoid payment, Jones and several of his companies declared bankruptcy, and Jones insisted he could never pay the damages. Quote, "I don't have any money," Jones said after the $1 billion judgment, "so it's all a big joke." Now, by the way, we reported at the time, too, he was sort of shifting money around to different places to try to hide it. Not only was he trying to do a bankruptcy proceeding, he was also putting some money in his kid's name over here, and his ex-wife's name over here, and his parents' name over here, and there was like an attempt to get around paying anything. They continue here, but Jones changed his tune on Friday when his attorney signaled in court that he is starting the process of liquidating his assets. All told, Jones' assets could yield as much as $15 million, a relative drop in the bucket toward the full total
like
he
I
owes the
figured. I'm not
victims' families
surprised.
after splitting the sum and paying administrative and legal
I'm really
fees.
curious what would happen then if he can't pay that $1.5 billion.
I have no idea.
The families may not walk away with much money, but they could end up in control of Jones' broadcast network, website, and social media accounts. That would not only be a financial blow, but a serious disruption to his operations. Jones has made much of his wealth from advertisers on the InfoWars network, which relies heavily on online sellers of health supplements and pills that claim to help prostates function better. Last week, in a lengthy broadcast to his fans, he was crying and declared InfoWars would be shut down. So look, I've read every article that I could find on this, and the bottom line is, we really don't know what would happen with InfoWars moving forward. This article seems to indicate that maybe the victims' families might end up owning it. I read that he might they might sell it to a new owner and he might still work there. I've read they might kind of like sell it all off, liquidate it, but then he pops up under a new show, a new company with a new title.
He'll probably find some way to weasel his way
role.
back on.
Look, the bottom line is,
he
doesn't
will.
have $1.5 billion.
He always does.
But
he'll always find a way to weasel
he's going to
his way
generate
back out.
income in one way or another to try to keep paying these families back. To this point, he hasn't paid anything. But it looks like that can't continue, right? It looks like they're actually coming after his ass and they're trying to crack down on him. He made it seem like the feds are coming to shut us down because we're truth tellers.
Yeah,
no,
sure,
bitch.
Joe,
They're coming to shut you down because you owe $1.5 billion in a civil lawsuit. Which, by the way, I can't help but say this also made me think of the Trump cases.
It's all a
because Trump had to pay. What's the number?
Like
90-some-odd million dollars to E.G.
His
Carroll over
existence
sexual
is
assault
a
and rape
hoax.
stuff and defamation stuff, and then you had
They turned the freaking
hundreds
frogs
of millions
gay.
of dollars. The total's probably around 500 million, all things considered. When you look at the tax fraud and the insurance fraud and the business.
Oh, that could be a good way for you to make. That could be a good way for you, Alex Jones. Maybe make all your most famous memes and quotes and sell them for as much money as possible. Because everyone likes they turn the freaking frogs gay.
Fraud in New York that they knocked him on. So
Hang
you
on,
look at this and you say, oh shit.
Hang on.
What else?
Let's Jones remix.
The wheels are actually in motion. Like they're actually making some headway, and there is some punishment. There is some justice. Because, these guys get away with so much. You're under the misperception.
Yeah.
They're just going to keep going along and not paying shit,
Alex.
right? Like, that's the feeling that you get.
But
But at some point, it looks like they do crack down. And they do come for you. And so I don't know what's going to happen in the Trump cases.
Or your
My concern
meltdown
with him
towards Piers
is
Morgan,
that
too.
he's basically going to get a whole bunch of different sugar daddies. It could be foreign governments. It could be billionaires, whoever, to give him money. And then under the condition that he wins, he gives them whatever they want in terms of policy.
And of course,
in
your
terms of money.
crybaby meltdown the other day, which I honestly thought Kyle was going to cover in this video, but I'm surprised he hasn't.
He could sell out to the highest bidder because he's one of the leading presidential candidates right now. Alex Jones doesn't necessarily have that in his bag, but I don't know, man. We might be on the brink of actually seeing InfoWars shut down, rebrand, come out as something new. I know he's tried to avoid accountability in 14 Ways to Sunday, but
like Trump.
It looks like it's catching up to one extent or another. I would love to know the specifics, man, of how this plays out from here. Is he going to have to sell it to somebody else? Are the feds just going to liquidate it? Is he going to rebrand and come out with a new show? Is he going to be able to monetize that new show in the same way? I don't know, but I think he was already fundraising over the fact that he was saying the feds were coming to shut him down. He was saying today. This is a video that came out last week. Yep. Today, he's saying they're going to shut me down. That didn't happen.
We know Alex Jones is the most
by the way, that
hyperbolic
Alex
people in
Jones
the world.
segment came after the fact that Trump fundraised a lot off of when he was found guilty.
He got let out that rage
when he was convicted of the felony.
Turned the freaking frogs gay.
Yep.
Alex Jones looked at that and said, damn, he was able to raise that much money by, going out there playing the victim, saying donate. So then Alex immediately goes on his broadcast and starts crying and saying, they're coming for me. You guys got to give me more money. So, I don't know. I just hope they have the tools in the toolbox to hold him accountable and to let those people get some money.
Maybe he should be ending the who's the believer, who's a grifter for the right ?
Like I said, I don't think there's any way they're ever going to get $1.5 billion because Alex Jones never had $1.5 billion, and he never will have $1.5 billion. He probably was worth $50 million. Right? He's super wealthy, but you don't have no $1.5 billion. But it would be so ironic if the end of this thing is those people basically own InfoWars, and then Alex Jones effectively works for them, right? And then
I don't think they would want anything to do with him at all costs.
80% of his paycheck or something on a week-to-week basis. Honestly, I don't know how all this works in civil court. I don't know the way that they can structure these things.
I highly doubt the Sandy Hook victims
looks like something like that is probably on the table.
Punishment.
Probably on the table. And then there's also ethical questions raised, like if you're one of the Sandy Hook families and you now run InfoWars and Alex Jones is off on his next conspiracy rant and he's calling some other shooting a false flag, now are you going to profit off of that? Like, how does this work? Jesus Christ. So I don't know. We'll see. But according to Alex Jones' lawyers, his lawyer, he's agreeing to liquidate some of his assets to pay the Sandy Hook families, or at least to give them something. Hey, y'all, do me a favor.
So, yeah, what do you got to say about that? Remember,
you
Jones?
Really needed to...
Jones?
You really don't understand what's going on.
Yeah,
you're done. Hopefully.
This is all your fault. Maybe next time the shooting happens, don't assume it's a hoax, and more importantly, don't encourage your viewers to harass the victims and make their lives horrible enough. Bad enough they had to lose their kids. You have to do that too. Just low sub. You just gotta accept the shit for what it is, and there's no grand conspiracy about it. Alright, so now, on to the next topic.
Charlie Kirk triggered by liberal Christians because he's a Nazi fuckhead.
Oh, and funny enough, because I saw this video earlier, I think he actually advocated killing gay people too.
Of course he did.
And I think it was
that he doesn't just want to kill gay people, he wants to kill interracial couples as well.
And I think it was inadvertent too. It was so funny. Of course, it's Kirk. Why am I not surprised? So let's see Kirk being a Karen because not every Christian agrees with him. Oh, boo fucking who.
So it's Pride Month, and that means that the conservatives are freaking out about everything gay or gay adjacent, and it's still.
And the only reason I even know it's Pride Month is because you Karen conservatives cry about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have known.
I cry about it every year.
Just like with the Easter shit months ago. If you guys just shut up and got over it, no one pays attention. No one else cares. Even LGBT people don't even really care necessarily about Pride Month because it's a corporation thing. But you guys won't shove about it, so now we have to talk about it.
It's Rachel. So this is a clip from Charlie Kirk's show with Jack Posobiec called Thought Crime, and as you see, there's still...
I was the old guy who did videos years and years ago, Mundane Matt, that he called him Jack Posobiec, Jack Probiotic, and that's what I've called him ever since.
What do you think about Miss Rachel? We talked about Miss Rachel last week.
And
she is a YouTube influencer for toddlers,
too.
literally.
Yep.
And she made a post on her personal Instagram account or TikTok account saying, "Hey, I love you if you're gay or LGBTQ+. Thank you for being you. I support you and celebrate you this month and everything."
And since we were talking while Mike was talking, he's talking about this person on YouTube, I think, called Mrs. Rachel, who is a Christian and actually
advocates. Oh, yes, her. Yes, I only found out about her thanks to subhumans like Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, she's some YouTuber that does like children's stuff and such, and she is a progressive Christian, which... Hey, even though we're atheists, you're on our side because you at least liberalize religion, which is absolutely needed at the next best case.
Every month, it was incredibly harmless. Conservatives threw a conniption fit, and now Charlie Kirk is trying to
read manga. Oh wait, they want to ban that too.
Everyone else,
they want to ban everything.
By the way, Mike, they would love to
1750 lure of the world.
By the way, Mike, they would love to rip off your One Piece shirt because it offends them so much. Which is hilarious because I was just reading One Piece earlier today on the bike before we started.
Well, I think that the Daily Wire folks specifically are going after Miss Rachel. I think it's because they want to direct all of the conservatives who watch to subscribe to their children's program stuff. So it's a little bit of a glitch, right? But Charlie Kirk is going to take things so much more far. And this comes after, by the way,
racist towards
he basically
Japanese
just
women,
came out as a racist not that long ago, saying that whenever he sees a black man, he thinks, oh, is that person qualified? Because of DEI. It's not because he's racist, it's because, DEI, according to him. But here's what he says now in response to Miss Rachel.
The other one.
She takes off the Miss Rachel costume and the uniform, etc., and she comes back and said...
By the way, Miss Rachel does not wear a costume or a uniform. It's just a lady in overalls. So I'm not really sure what he's talking about here. But to be fair, we're mid-clip. But
a woman wearing men's clothes?
Like,
oh, God forbid, don't you know?
She goes, the reason I'm this way is...
These Karens would probably be triggered by... These Karens are probably triggered by women wearing pants for crying out loud. That's how sad they are.
Yeah.
Wait. Remember their meltdown with Taylor Swift months ago? Remember that?
Yes.
Misogyny.
Yeah.
And remember they were crying about what she wore, remember? Oh my God. It made me so mad.
Is because I'm Christian, and in the Bible it says love your neighbor, and really I approach people in love, and if you're not doing that, I guess you're not really following the Bible. She didn't say,
I mean,
that would be hilarious if she did that.
But is she not right? Well, apparently not, because they want you to, I guess,
because guess what, you idiots, liberal Christians cherry pick the Bible for the good liberal stuff, like you all cherry pick for the far right violent stuff. You're both cherry pickers.
Follow the Bible of the
At least when they cherry pick is
Testament, where he's like committing genocide and killing people. So she's following Jesus's word. They're following the Old Testament. Same Bible. You know, one is just a little bit more egalitarian, and they can't have that. Even though she's a Christian, they can't have
my Christianity. You're not a true Christian.
That's pretty much his reaction.
The underlying piece there. So Charlie,
128.
What's going on with that?
Well, let's let her say it. 120. I'll respond, and then I got a dash.
I've shared prayers on here before and said, God bless. And that's because my faith is really important to me. And it's also one reason why I love every neighbor.
Oh, and just to be really clear, I should say this. She's posting all of this on TikTok and Instagram. She's not uploading these videos to her YouTube channel where the kids watch. So she's just like expressing herself personally. She's off duty here. But yet they're still flipping out because she happens
what else
to
conservatives
be
are supposed to do?
pro-gay.
They freak out about everything.
Play Minecraft? Wait till they see the nether.
If you are gonna, take your kid to daycare, are you gonna vet them to see if they're pro-gay
call weather skeletons
or anti-racist?
And they'll probably call the gas satanic.
I don't know what the expectation is. I think they just want to find a reason to be mad, but I'll shut up and let her continue.
In Matthew 22, a religious teacher asked Jesus, what's the most important commandment? And Jesus says to love God and to love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. There's no greater commandments than these. I believe it's mentioned 8 times, love your neighbor. So yes, everyone belongs, everyone's welcome, everyone is treated with empathy and respect. It doesn't say love every neighbor except. There are so many reasons I stand strong in love. I stand with everyone. That's who I am. And the love back and the God bless if you disagree is genuine.
Andrew?
I mean, she just seems like a genuinely nice
person.
They hate her for it. Because she's not saying, actually, we should stone...
I got a feeling... I already saw this once, but I don't remember much. I got a feeling that's just going to boil down to misogyny, as always, with you clowns. Do I need to remind you all what they said about Taylor Swift months ago?
Gays.
Yes.
Well, she's not allowed...
Like, everything they were making shit about her, they would never say about a man. The amount of stuff we found, they were doing misogynistic stuff on stuff we never even thought they would even go to. That's how sexist they were. It was insane.
Call herself a Christian according to
It was like 10 different things.
I would just, to Jack's point, I'm dying to know, like, what do you think when Miss Rachel quotes scripture in that way?
I mean, Satan's quoted scripture plenty.
It doesn't just say love your neighbor, though. It does say love your neighbor except, in a sense.
As yourself.
I mean, if you read the Bible, it says a lot of shit. There's scriptures in there that say that you have to chop off your wife's hand if she grabs the nutsack of a guy that you're fighting with. I can't remember where that's at, but we've gone over it on the show before. Like,
we've covered
the Bible has
crazy
some
Bible verses years ago.
In there,
it's just
talking
wild.
Pigs, talking snakes, but also Jesus saying, "Hey, this prostitute is my friend. Sex work is work." That's what Jesus says officially, verbatim. No, but I mean, like, there's so much in the Bible. So she's choosing to follow the parts that are more loving, because I think that
Because she's a liberal cherry picker.
That's a representation of who she is as a liberal cherry picker. That's a representation of who she is as a person. And if you want your religion to be relevant in the future, you kind of need to adapt and forget all that old-ass Testament bullshit of,
perfectly fine with
genocide and whatnot. But I'll hear him out.
But hold on. She's not totally wrong when she says, first of all, the first part is Deuteronomy 6:3-5. The second part is Leviticus 19. So you love God. So you must love his law. How do you love somebody?
Here we go, folks.
You love them by telling them the truth, not by confirming or affirming their sin. And it says, by the way, Miss Rachel, you might want to crack open that Bible of yours. In a lesser referenced part of the same part of Scripture is in Leviticus 18, is that thou shalt lay with another man shall be stoned to death.
So, Kirk, are you supporting stoning gay people?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Maybe we should stone him.
Oh my gosh. Maybe, just maybe you should drop that part of the Bible, Kirk. Oh, but that's right. You guys love that part too much and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I love those parts.
But isn't that a bit contradictory? Doesn't that speak to how your Bible is really flawed and maybe you shouldn't take anything too seriously?
The Bible is full of contradictions, people.
Right?
We've covered it before.
You just take the good and disregard
the Bible is the greatest contradiction in the history of the world.
It kind of sounds like you're saying that.
Just like
if you're a Christian and you think that we should follow the Bible literally, then do you want to stone gay people, Charlie? Who's going to do the stoning of gay people? I just said earlier.
You conservative fucktards cherry pick it. Progressive liberals cherry pick it. You all cherry pick it. Leave out the parts you don't like, and us atheists just laugh at you and point out that it's just a contradiction everywhere.
This is what he's saying in the year 2024, the year of our Lord and Savior. And it's crazy because this individual, he's further and further slipping into radicalism that's much more similar to the likes of Nick Fuentes. But yet he still has a lot of institutional support with Republicans.
Yeah, he still
but
beats
he's
with
making
Nick
himself
Fuentes.
such an extreme figure that he's going to get the Nick Fuentes treatment to where Republicans who associate with him, it becomes a bit of a scandal. I know that their standards are so low that they don't really care, but he keeps saying overtly racist and homophobic things, and he's going to make himself a
black pilots, remember?
Yep.
And of course, I've mentioned multiple times that his Taylor Swift misogynistic meltdown
in the Republican Party, where currently he's got a good thing going. Right? He hosts Turning Point USA and has all these speakers, including President Trump, right? By the way, you've got Steve Bannon. Isn't he going to be in jail soon? So I don't know how you're going to get him there. June, or maybe it's not going to be until later. But anyways, so it's June 14th through 16th. We've got to look out for that because that's going to be a hoot.
So, Miss Rachel, you quote Leviticus 19, love your neighbor as yourself. The chapter before affirms God's perfect law when it comes to sexual matters.
Yeah. You cherry pick.
Okay, so cherry picks.
You're both cherry pickers.
Gay people.
Yep, everyone cherry picks.
Cool.
At least she cherry picks the good stuff. You cherry pick the bad
very
stuff.
Very open-minded of you. Speaking of being open-minded,
exactly.
And we just laugh at both of you.
You got this individual here.
Michael Knowles
was the star of some film. I don't know if he was the star, actually, to be fair, but he played a gay character.
Yes,
in the film. The
guy sucking dick in Narnia.
So you have Charlie Kirk saying, let's stone gays. Or I'm not saying it. The Bible's saying we should stone gays. I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger, right? That's what I'm assuming he'd say to defend himself. And then we have Michael Knowles here saying we need to suppress the free speech of liberals. After
of course, why not conservatives advocate
conservatives are like, actually, we really just
of course, because he's evil
when we said it.
Oh, and also he's in the closet sucking dick in Narnia. That
was
you saw that
with Crowder
amateur video where it looked like they just finished a gay act between Michael Knowles and who I know it's not, but I swear the dude looks like Ben Shapiro.
Mike just showed that video.
Yeah, I know. Like that fucking, as I said, Michael Knowles and. Who looks, to me at least, kind of like Ben Shapiro.
Maybe it should have been Crowder.
About how we need to suppress
indented chest, remember?
the speech of liberals. Not the legitimate speech of liberals, but the kind of speech that liberals regularly engage in. Specifically,
well, what's
the
your definition of
obscenity,
legitimate?
crazy pride parades, all this.
Absolutely nothing. Because they want to genocide the.
Of course,
they want to kill everyone that's not a Nazi like them.
Of course, he hates pride parades. Of course, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, because he's evil.
So he's saying here, he wants to actually shut down pride parades. And
so much
the
for free speech,
bad
am I right,
words
people?
that liberals use, because I guess it offends him. I mean, listen, the Republican Party in 2024...
I feel bad for you conservatives. Literally everything in your life is just offense to you.
Perhaps...
You need to go touch grass and read
the things
manga.
that they're saying 10 years ago...
And ignore the sex scenes that are apparently in a whole bunch I've read.
Even though we knew that they were kind of headed in this direction, you think, man... There's no way they're going to go.
Oh, God
that
forbid
far.
they go to my library and read Kobayashi Dragon Maid and see all the nudity that wasn't even expected.
Some right-wing radio hosts say, yeah, we should shut down the free speech of liberals. But I mean, this is so common now.
God forbid they read Black Lagoon and see all the swearing and all the violence and all that.
Something that everybody needs to pay attention to, because this extremism is only getting worse, and there's kind of this race to the bottom that we're seeing, where they're all trying to out-extreme each other. So that way
again,
they get attention,
we've been saying for how many years now, they've always been this way. They've always been this way. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. They've always been like this.
By social media, by algorithms.
We've been covering for like 10 plus years this regard.
Shit
Come on.
you can
exactly,
say, that also gives them more popularity. And, you hate to see it, and I don't know if they're just doing it for the grift. I don't know if it's sincere or not, but either way, I'm not going to...
Well, we already did that. We already did the grift or not before. Walsh, of course, absolutely believes it. And the rest of them are probably grifters in that regard.
No, exactly. Make the mistake of thinking, oh, they're not serious. No, when they say we should stone gay people, when they say we need to shut down pride parades,
absolutely would love to stone gay people
who we
personally.
disagree
with. He absolutely would. Yes,
because it is.
And then he gets stoned back.
No. He'll want to have sex with them and then stone them.
And then get stoned himself.
So yeah, we gotta say about Kirk having a meltdown because not every Christian is a fascist like him.
Yeah, no surprise.
I'm about to call him Benny Boy. Kirk, babyface, not everyone agrees with you, even when it comes to Christianity. You're gonna have to deal with it, pal. Sorry. There are more liberal Christians than you fascist fucks, so get over it and cry more. Go touch grass.
Exactly.
And stop worrying about black pilots and Taylor Swift and all that. It's really sad.
Exactly.
All right. So now, on to the next topic.
That'll be Just Stop Oil vandalized Stone Hedge.
And of course, and Vosh was making excuses for it early because he's an absolute moron. So yeah, guys.
Yeah.
We've covered these guys before. Just Stop Oil is an environmental activist group, and their way of protesting is very stupid, if not illegal, a lot of ways. Of course, remember they tried to vandalize a Van Gogh painting, which I think we covered. Now
yes, I remember that.
Now, just recently, they got on the news because they vandalized, and yes, this is vandalism, people. I don't care if it didn't do anything to Stone Hedge, it'll be washed off and all that. You're putting paint on a monument. It's still vandalism, regardless of how you feel about it. But they sprayed paint on Stone Hedge, which is a monument in the UK. And it was really stupid and all that.
Mm-hmm.
There's the video of it.
Oh, climate activists threw orange cornstarch on Stonehenge. And people are freaking out. So let's discuss this. Let's debate this, as there always tends to be a debate around these sorts of actions. First, I want to show you the video here. Just Stop Oil is the group behind this. They tweeted out, breaking, Just Stop Oil sprays Stonehenge orange. 2 people took action the day before summer solstice, demanding the incoming government sign up to a legally binding treaty to phase out fossil fuels by 2030. And then they send a link that I will get to in a second, because it helps to prove that this worked. But here is the video.
Yep.
So, just to be clear here, this is washable apparently. It will apparently wash off in the rain.
Even so, Dave, it's still not good. It's still not good.
Even if it was real paint, I'm guessing you could power wash it?
That would probably damage Stone Hedge if they did that.
Yeah, that would.
Because those rocks are thousands of years old. That would probably...
Yeah,
you gotta be very careful about power wash stuff like that if you want to keep it like significant and all that.
It's all okay.
But like I said, I don't care if it could be just washed off and ran on it. It's still vandalism, and more importantly, it's optically a bad look. Just like with the Van Gogh
very
painting.
much, yeah.
Like, oh my god, I remember Dole and Corson Fosh's comments too because people were defending it. Like, it'll spread awareness and all that. I don't care if it spreads awareness about climate change. If it makes you look bad, then what's the point? It's not good. No press is better than bad press, people.
I find it funny that this one person is freaking out. I assume they work there. And no one else really appears to care too much. Like this other lady just casually...
I think people would probably be more surprised at first and all that. And yeah, they're probably workers, so that's why they're probably stopping them. That's their job.
Walks over, grabs the container, walks away. No harm. It's all good. Now...
Not really, Dave.
As they write here, cornflower will wash away. So they did this to raise money, and it has apparently clearly worked. They're almost reaching... They've almost hit their goal already. It's been, 12 hours at this point?
Since to raise 150,000 pounds.
They're escalating their campaign over the summer. They're
saying
they've
almost hit 140,000 on this video.
They want to take some more action, and they need support to fund trainings, rent safe houses, and prepare people for action. So they are successful in this attempt to raise money. Now, people argue against this, saying, "Oh, people are not gonna join your cause now. They're gonna care less about the climate crisis because you."
I don't know if they'll care less, but it's not gonna make you look good and help combat climate change and all that. Like that's just the reality. It doesn't look good. Just like with BLM years ago when all like the riots and stuff happened. Regardless of if they did optically, it looked bad, and that's why y'all's Poland tanked after George Floyd shooting when it was at a record high beforehand.
You threw cornstarch on the Stone Hedge. My argument to that is just that the people are already aware of the seriousness of the crisis. You look at all people are aware.
And if they are, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be like, oh my god, we got to do something. A lot of people also just don't really care either.
More needs to be done to address the climate crisis. The issue isn't public support. The issue is political will.
Yeah, exactly. And this is not going to help get the political will. If it does, it's going to be the opposite direction, like trying to crack you all down.
So the issue is money and politics. Ultimately, the issue is that those with power tend to be fossil fuel companies. So there is always going to be that opposition from politics. The opposition is not from the public. The public largely is on the side of these people. And if you're going to all of a sudden...
They might be on the side of when it comes to like, hey, climate change is a real threat that we need to resolve. Yes, but in terms of what they're doing, no.
Not care about the climate crisis.
Oh, definitely not.
Of a couple of activists, then you're the problem, not the activists.
Yeah.
Now, look, I will say that to be fair, look, I get the initial reaction, right? I totally understand why people, upon first glance, are bothered by actions like this, or throwing paint on a piece of art, or a painting that happened I think a year ago, though it was covered in glass, so it was easily wiped off, and then the frame was maybe damaged a little bit. But I get why people have that reaction, but that's kind of the point, right? Like if these protests don't get your attention, then they're not going to work.
But you shouldn't try to get attention. You shouldn't get negative attention either. That's also very bad. I argue it's worse than no coverage.
And especially when it comes to like the point of this one is to simply raise money. That is clearly the goal here, and that's what they have accomplished. Also find it hilarious. Climate change threatens iconic sites worldwide, including Stonehenge.
Exactly.
So this is from the UN. This may be part of the reason why they decided to target Stonehenge here. But here, so the study lists 31 natural and cultural World Heritage sites in 29 countries that are vulnerable to increasing temperatures, melting glaciers, rising seas, intensifying weather events, worsening droughts, and longer wildfire seasons. So this was a report from both the UN Environment Program and the Scientific and Cultural the UN Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. which are the ones that oversee these heritage sites. So this is like if you're worried about Stonehenge, this is the reason to be worried about it. Not
yeah, but what they're doing, what did they do? What they did is going to fix anything.
I just saw this tweet. Fellows
exactly.
It doesn't make any difference.
I'm going to say here, or Amelia says, as an archaeologist and a supporter of Just Stop Oil, I think this action at Stonehenge was incredibly well done. It's cornstarch that will wash off in the rain, and it's captured the attention of tens of thousands of people online. So much respect.
That's cringe.
Now,
and also, it's
Labor
not.
leader,
it's going to get negative.
Keir Starmer, not happy about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Says the damage done to Stonehenge is outrageous. Just Stop Oil are pathetic. Those responsible must face the full force of the law.
Are really stupid.
Yeah.
And it is vandalism too, what they're doing. So
exactly.
if they're going to face criminal charge or whatever, I can't say they're in the wrong. I mean, you can't say they're wrong to face that. That's the reality of it.
The level of fervor here over a couple of rocks, I find to be...
Well, it's a monument and all that, so they're going to take it a little bit more seriously. See, you don't care about, which I don't really care much either about Stone Hedge, but they do. So you got to go with it pretty much.
Ridiculous.
It's not really that ridiculous.
Especially when you apply it to various realities around the UK government, like the fact that the Stonehenge tunnel is approved by government, which is a project that could see Stonehenge stripped of its World Heritage Site status.
I think those from. I think that article he listed was from 2013. So that doesn't even apply anymore.
John Smith here with a great point. Christ, you're going to go ballistic when you see what Netanyahu's doing to Gaza.
And you know what? That is true. What Israel's doing to Gaza is way worse than what
Canada has.
Just Stop Oil did to Stone Hedge, but doesn't make what they're doing right either.
Exactly. To criticize the right-wing Israeli government for the obvious mass
Keir Starmer will not do that because he's a
neolib
in a supposed Labour Party.
Any of those criticisms.
Yeah,
it's wild to have this sort of anger again over a couple of rocks or stones, and
I've been around for a very long time.
Not really, Dole. They're a monument. You can't, just because you don't care about it doesn't mean it's not legit.
At the very least, matching that anger when it comes to actually...
I'll say it this way. Would you like if people threw paint or whatever at your car or your house or at you or whatever? You probably wouldn't like it, would you?
He probably would. Actually, he probably would if it was environmental activists or black nationalists.
And that sucks too, because Dole's probably one of the more rational people on this. Like, now, Mike, I would expect him to say agree with that, but Dole, not so much. But I guess I can't be too surprised. But here's the reality: if you wouldn't like it if someone did it to your car, your house, or you or whatever, then you have to also apply it consistently. What they did with the Van Gogh paint and Stone Hedge, it's just not cool.
Human life.
Exactly.
Also, great little meme here from Saul. Interesting what's considered outrageous and what's not. So, spraying cornstarch paint on Stonehenge that washes off in the rain. 2-child benefit cap that forces 250,000 children to grow up in poverty. So, I looked into this. This is a greater issue right now during this election.
And it shows how much of a Labour Starmer is that he wants to axe on benefits for kids if he becomes Prime Minister, which there are elections next month. Oh man, I feel bad for you in the UK having to deal with the same shit that we have to do.
Okay. Starmer faces further calls for Labour to axe 2-child benefit cap. So the policy
austerity doesn't work, you brats. Stop doing austerity.
Chancellor means low-income parents are denied key benefits, including universal credit, for their third and any subsequent children born from April 2017. Research by the Institute for Fiscal Studies
Well, how funny! You're actually doing an anti-family policy.
The policy will affect 1 in 5 children, costing families an average of £4,300 a year, or 10% of their income, among the poorest fifth of households.
And I'm pretty sure pounds are almost equivalent to $1. So imagine losing $4,300 a year.
38% will be affected. This is something that Keir Starmer apparently in their manifesto have not addressed. Again, to have more anger over Stonehenge and not children in poverty.
No, because they're neoliberals, they hate poor people and they want to kill, and they just want to torture poor people instead of outright massacring them like the fascists do.
Which is why, Starmer, you should be a conservative, not in the Labour Party. How about that one?
It's completely in line with neoliberalism.
I'm a Green.
Funny reply here. So, Evolve Politics says it's cornstarch paint, it'll wash off in the rain. Rosie here says it was an act of hate against a sacred monument.
Okay, that's silly. It's a hate crime to throw paint on the Stone Hedge. Yeah, that's silly.
Oh, wow.
It's not a hate crime. It's dumb. And it's a crime. But it's not.
That's ridiculous. I guess they're calling it an act of domestic terrorism. They call it an act of domestic terrorism and call for people involved to be massacred.
It's not that deep, people. Stop. Now you're being silly in the opposite direction. Oh my god.
I hate it a lot. Okay. Calling cornstarch being thrown on Stonehenge a hate crime is next level insanity.
Yeah, that is silly.
And Matthew Todd here with the ultimate point. Suddenly people are upset about cornstarch thrown over Stonehenge. I don't like it either. Where's their anger over this? And shows various images of the impact of the climate crisis, which again is not met with the same anger that someone like Keir Starmer or other politicians.
Wait, at the same time, what is what they did gonna solve any of it? It's not.
Exactly.
I mean, if anything, because someone actually pointed out on Vosh's tweet, funny enough, they actually did did CO2 what they did, funny enough.
Yeah.
So they actually contributed to climate change, funny enough, for their
exactly. Yeah.
That's which is hilarious.
They have a lot more anger for Stonehenge or cornstarch on Stonehenge over the actual impact of the climate crisis, which I think also goes to the point that these climate activists were making.
But yeah, what they did was just not acceptable, and it's not gonna convince people to change their minds on taking climate change seriously. You just don't do it. Just stop. So yeah, we gotta say about that, and Dole not being the best on this issue either. At least he wasn't as brain dead stupid like Vosh was. Ugh.
No fucking surprise.
Oh my god. Of course, this is what happens when you're too... That was like almost dumb leftist like crap right there.
Oh yeah.
Which was funny because for a long time I was saying he was like the least bad when it comes to like being a dumb leftist. Now I'm gonna have to question that now, unfortunately. But yeah, guys, just don't do it. No press is better than negative press. We can't have people like potentially be like anti-combat and climate change or not care about enough because these idiots do vandalism. Just stop, and all that. Oh my god. So now, I guess on to the next topic.
And that is Russia running out of tanks.
Good! Now something good for once. And of course, as always, no one is ever covering this except Dylan Burns, pretty much, because we got to point out every problem wrong with Ukraine and all that, but Russia, no, for some reason. No, we can't ever point out when they have shortages.
Because they're anti-West, and because a lot of the left want a unipolar world under China, with Russia and the rest of the world as their puppets.
Which is funny because even pro-Ukraine people don't by and large bring us up, or Western media and all that, which I find weird. Except DW thankfully covering it. So yeah, guys, Russia has taken so many losses recently that they might in a few years start running out of tanks because they can't produce enough. And oh boy, DW did a very good video on this, so let's watch that.
Well, after more than 2 years of war in Ukraine, speculation is rife on how much military hardware Russia still has at its disposal. Open source investigators Oryx say more than 2,500 Russian tanks have been lost since the beginning.
And of course, if you believe Ukraine's numbers, they've destroyed up to 7,000.
Of the conflict. Let's take a closer look now to see what depleted tank stocks might mean for Russia's war effort.
And I don't know if they're going to bring up, but it's not just tanks that they're suffered shortage for. It's manpower, planes somewhat, artillery pieces, IMVs or APCs, and of course their Black Sea fleet is being obliterated like each and every week. Yep. Their Black Fleet's already been destroyed by like a third, for crying out loud. Imagine losing your Navy to a country that has no Navy. Couldn't be me.
A social media compilation of Ukrainian attacks on Russian tanks, using drones, mines, and anti-tank missiles. Open source investigators say more than 2,600 Russian tanks have been lost since the beginning of the war. And that's just going by photographic evidence available to the public. The real number may be higher. That would leave Russia with just a few hundred tanks from its pre-war stock of about 3,000. But Russia has thousands more tanks in storage, some dating back 50 or 60 years. These satellite photos show vast storage sites in Siberia, Hundreds of tanks that were there 2 years ago are now gone. Russia
Yeah, that's their main thing. They're using tanks from like the Cold War era for crying out loud as a supplement. But here's the thing, guys. Since I don't even know if DW covers this, but I'm going to point out right here. These tanks are complete and utter dog shit. These things belong in either two places, a museum or to scrap. These are complete trash and worthless, but they can't produce more modern tanks because they don't have an industrial capacity to do so. Plus, what they have modern is also dog shit too. And that's a big reason why they're losing so many tanks, because they're so dog shit. They're getting obliterated by anything that touches them. I would like to. They would love to see a 1v1 between a Western tank, because we all know Western tanks are going to absolutely obliterate these pieces of shit easily. They're so trash.
Dozens of them for the battle.
Hell, freaking APZs would probably obliterate them with just one shot.
Battlefield every month. And it has upped its production of new tanks as well in several factories, part of a shift in its manufacturing base towards a war economy.
Which is hilarious, because what they're showing doesn't even necessarily look like a tank. It looks a lot more like an APC.
All these numbers are estimates, but the tank math long-term is not in Russia's favor.
Please.
Let it go off and blow your head off.
Those losses might lead to a critical point where Russia doesn't have enough tanks to make further advances. The Russian army had about 3,000 tanks at the beginning of the war in 2022. If it has lost 2,600 in battle, it would have 400 left. Add 1,500 new and repaired tanks, a figure supplied by Russia itself, would bring the number of available tanks as of May 2024 to a total of 1,900. Down from the beginning of the war, but still a significant number. Some analysts, however, think that Russia is actually producing far fewer tanks than it says.
Yeah, because they can't
no
produce,
matter what,
because their industry
Russia just
is
isn't making
shit.
as many tanks.
The only thing Russia is right now is able to produce and sustain is artillery shells, which is pretty embarrassing, because they're actually making more artillery shells than all of the West combined, even America, which is very sad and pathetic. It's like somewhere between 3 to 5 million shells a year to the West, which is 1.5 million combined. That is embarrassing and pathetic. But that's it. That's the only thing they're producing more of. Everything else, they're producing nowhere near enough to sustain the losses.
As it's losing. So overall, it still loses 60 per month. So if Russia has 2,400 tanks...
And yeah, they're estimating that Russia's losing 60 tanks per month. If you go by Ukraine's numbers, they're losing like 30 a day. So, so that's like 300 almost a month if you go by their numbers. And of course, the Battle of Avdiivka, which was from October to February, they lost 400 tanks in that battle alone. Like these numbers are absolutely unsustainable. I don't even think America would probably be able to sustain these losses, how quick they're going.
Tanks now, and overall loses 60 tanks per month. Over the next 2 years, its stocks will go down.
Yeah, and they're estimating at the current rate of losses of 60 per month or whatever, if they don't fix something soon, by May of 2026, so less than 2 years, they'll hit a critical point where they have like 1,000 tanks in total. And
oh, wow.
That's just embarrassing.
Down to a critical point, say 1,000 tanks, where it will not be able to risk further losses in trying to gain territory. If fighting escalates and it loses tanks faster...
Which in reality, they are losing that. They're losing way more than 60 tanks a month. That's not. That's absolutely not even close to the actual number.
Even sooner.
Yep.
Tanks,
dude. 60. So it's October to February. So it's like 4 months of fighting. By their estimations, they would have lost 240 tanks. They lost 400. They almost doubled it.
Old-fashioned, but they are critical for breaking through an enemy's front lines. If Russia loses too many, it will have to stick to and defend the existing front line without much hope of taking more territory. We warned you beforehand
that they were not going to give up that easily.
That might mean a stalemate on the ground. After years...
And guys, it's been pretty much a stalemate for the last 2 years. Like, that's how it's been.
Years of grinding conflict that have cost countless lives.
Let's get some analysis with military expert Marina Moran. Marina, good to see you. What do you make of the findings of this open source investigation? Does it give a realistic picture of Russia's tank reserves?
Independent.
Hello, Nicole. Well, what we have to understand is not just the number of tanks that Russia has lost and then replenished with 1,500 according to the Russian Ministry of Defense for 2023.
Come on,
we have to understand the Russian capability of manufacturing new tanks amid sanctions, the ability to refurbish the old tanks and the speed with which it is done. That is one factor. And the other factor, which is of course important, is the adaptation on the battlefield. That being said,
probably censored because Elon Musk wants Russia and China to rule the world.
Oh, boo-hoo, elongated Musgrave, boo-hoo.
Is going to continue losing tanks at the very same...
Here we go. So, as of the recent day, June 21st, they lost 14 tanks in that day. So, average that out. 14 tanks divided by 30 for an average month, 420 a month.
Wow. That's a lot of tanks a month every...
That's like almost the entire stock in like 10 months.
Wow.
That obliterates their DW's estimation by an entire year.
Wow.
Again, it's their equipment is complete dog shit, and they have horrible tactics. Maybe they should learn how to fight like America does. Superior firepower doctrine for the win.
Great. And we know why Russia has been losing tanks, and mostly it's because of the first-person view drones, which have become very lethal
recent
and
day, 1,000 dead troops.
Great costs on the Russian armed forces in terms of the
35 APCs obliterated. 47 vehicles and fuel tanks obliterated. 54 artillery pieces obliterated. Let's see.
Wow.
That's right, they've been destroying a whole bunch of anti-air sites across Crimea and everywhere else, so they got obliterated.
Nice. Kaboom.
Yep, that's what. If you want to see some base stuff, go watch the U.S. Defense News channel, I think it's called. I've been watching like the last few weeks. They cover like almost every day what they've been doing. Oh man, it's just enjoyable.
Of military equipment, and now we're seeing adaptation. The famous turtle tank, for instance, in order
according to Kyiv Independent, with the 14 tanks recently destroyed, Ukraine, according to them, has destroyed 8,001 tanks.
Nice.
Against drones. So, can we project that Russia will be losing the same amount of tanks, or will it reduce? And I think that will be the critical point. That being said, still many experts believe that Russia will have enough tanks for the upcoming 2 years to continue the war of attrition.
They're going to be completely out
report also noted that without tanks, Russia could only defend territory it already occupies.
Yep.
Is that an assessment that you would agree with, or could they rely on other means to break through front lines?
Well, I think both armies have been quite inventive in this conflict, and for an example,
all these losses
here,
seem to beg
let's
to
look
differ.
at what the Ukrainian armed forces did in Robotyne, and Russian forces did it in several parts. It's not the most ideal way, but there were soldiers on foot in small groups approaching Robotyne. And so I think that, of course, tanks are very important, but you can get around it. It will, of course, slower the offensive, and it will not give you the same amount of firepower if you, let's say, use infantry fighting vehicles instead of tanks. However, I don't think that it is completely off the table. So you will have to look how to offset your vulnerabilities. And I think before Russia runs out of tanks, I'm sure that the Kremlin will look for potential sources to source perhaps old Soviet-era tanks which can then be refurbished. So I don't think
they're complete dog shit. They're going to last 1 second before they're obliterated.
No tanks left, and then
and they might try and get tanks from like China, Iran, or other like Hungary, Kazakhstan, Armenia, Belarus, North Korea. But yeah, good luck.
1, they'll be dog shit. 2, and 2, they don't have the means to produce enough to refurbish their losses. Like, this is like, you're going to need like American World War II industry to cover these last losses. America was producing like tens of thousands of tanks a year during World War II. You're not sustaining these losses, and you refuse to change your tactics because you're fucking stupid.
Take territory.
I feel like I'm watching.
Marina, we all know Vladimir Putin is meeting with Kim Jong-un today. Does North Korea have tanks to give to Russia? Briefly, if you can.
Oh yeah, Putler visited North Korea recently.
Yes, I saw about that.
As he and Kim Jong-un sucked each other's dicks and all that, and signed a defensive pact recently. Yeah, because anyone's going to attack Russia or North Korea. Sure, pal. We all know it's you all that's going to cause problems, not us.
Yep,
so, yeah.
Because that's your job.
Yep, and of course, trying to get weapons from North Korea. Like I said earlier, anything they produce is going to be complete dog shit, and it's just not going to be enough.
Yep.
Yes, North Korea has tanks. Whether it's enough to give to Russia, it has
they don't have anywhere near enough tanks.
Not enough.
And like I said, they're going to be complete dog shit. Some Chinese. Just like the millions of artillery shells Dylan Burns reported that they're complete dog shit too.
Tanks and the new M2020. Altogether, according to publicly available data, there are 3,000 tanks that North Korea has. I think Russia is more after artillery ammunition
than American weapons, which will trigger tankies very much.
As military expert,
yes, it will. Because everything's tank. Everything triggers them.
So yeah, what do you guys say about that? Burning through tanks and obliterating rate.
Fun.
Yep. So yeah, unless you have the industry of America in World War II, or you change your tactics, which you refuse to do, and no one's going to produce, even America today probably won't produce like we did in World War II, you're going to run out of tanks eventually, which, hey, please, go ahead. Keep wasting all your troops, all your equipment for very little gain to no gain, and we just sit back, laugh, and then watch you have nothing left, and then freaking anyone would probably just be able to invade you with no problem.
Yeah.
You fucking stupid bastards.
Oh,
right.
Absolutely.
So now, what's next?
The final topic. Base cop stops scammer.
And of course, you saw me post it earlier today on the server, and this is from the very base channel I mentioned so many times, Police Activity. So recently, this is a really good video they posted a week ago. Some elderly woman in Texas was the victim of a scam, a Bitcoin scheme where she was being scammed out of $40,000.
Oh my God!
And what happened was she was at an ATM at some convenience store, and the convenience store owner noticed this, and she called the cops about it. And the cop got involved and actually talked to the scammer and just ripped him a new asshole and stopped the scam and all that. Unfortunately, apparently she put in like almost $24,000 into ATM, so I hope she was able to get that money back potentially, because that's pretty unfortunate. So yeah, let's watch this, shall we? Very, very base. And as I keep saying, people, please watch Police Activity.
Of course, Mike Figueredo would be triggered by this because he hates. Harry would be triggered by it. Yeah, well, but that's because Harry's a Stalinist now, and he just and he probably goes around abusing cops in his home country.
Yep. Because remember, according to these idiots, cops are always bad.
Yep.
Even though, sorry, a cab, deal with it.
Yep.
This is Debbie. How can I help you?
Is there an officer available that I could maybe speak with?
There's none in here right now. They're all out on the streets. Is there anything I can help you with?
So I'm at the Chevron right here off of 2025 Cherry Lane.
Okay.
And I'm a victim of identity theft, and like it's awful. It'll ruin your life. And however, I was in here getting money out of the ATM, and I noticed an elderly lady feeding thousands of dollars into the cryptocurrency machine, and the people on the phone sound like foreigners, and they have her like FaceTiming to make sure that she's putting the money in the machine. I just don't think she's aware that she's like what she's doing.
Yeah, that's a very unfortunate thing. Old people are very common victims of scams, especially when it comes to like phones and tech and all that, which is unfortunately, which is the main reason why we're covering it. Because remember what happened a few months ago when that woman was killed by a scammer. And the person that shot her was an old person. Old people don't know this stuff, and that's why they need to be educated on it, because scammers, this is the main victim, old people and tech illiterate people.
Like, It just seems so suspect. I mean, when I say
eyeballing my mom, who's also tech illiterate.
At least $5,000 to $10,000.
And what kind of machine is she putting it into?
The cryptocurrency.
Okay.
And they're on the phone
there's
with her.
people on FaceTime with her?
Yes, and they're like, show us the screen. Now keep putting the hundreds in. Show us the screen. And they're like
still in there right now?
Yes, ma'am. I actually got her a chair because she's getting tired of standing.
Can you go get her to stop?
I tried, and she said that she's trying to correct the mistake that somebody else made. So she knows that, and I just don't, it's so bad.
Okay,
and
if you can go back in there and try to get her to stop, again, tell her that the police are coming because they want to come visit with her. What's a good phone number
footage.
for you?
Nice.
What kind of shirt are you wearing?
Before they show body cam footage.
I have on the black shorts and like a Biggie small shirt.
I'm sorry, what was the second thing you said? Black shorts and what else?
A Biggie small shirt.
Okay.
All
right,
oh no! A cop in view! Run, Mike and Harry, run!
All right, I'll send them to her right now. Thank you for calling. And what is your name? I'll get them up there right now, okay?
All right, body cam footage.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Hello.
She's at $23,000 already.
Where's she at right now?
In the corner over there.
All right, here we go to confrontation.
Hey, ma'am.
Yes.
Can I talk to you for a second?
Please, I have the bank on the phone.
Okay, let me talk to who you're talking to on the bank.
I'm in danger. This
Okay,
is
no,
Chase
you're not,
Bank.
ma'am.
This is Chase Bank.
Let me talk to them.
Here we go.
Okay, stop putting money in there. Hello?
Just show me the screen, huh?
Yeah, who is this?
This is the security team. So, Christine,
No, you're not. My name is Sergeant Stewart. I'm with the White Settlement Police Department.
Oh.
Okay, if you're dealing with a security team, you call my dispatch right now. You understand?
Okay, let me speak to the customer.
No, you're not going to speak to the customer
let
anymore.
me speak to the customer.
No, you're not speaking to the customer anymore. If you want to speak with her, you call my dispatch first.
Christine,
You call my dispatch first. I'll give you that phone number.
Christine, Christine, just get the phone from him.
What do you have to say?
From the cop, they said.
Okay, Christine, please ask him to move away and let's just open the camera. Click on I'm done on the screen.
No, I'm not worried about a camera.
I'm done.
I'm not worried about a camera because Chase Bank does not take Bitcoin.
Please allow me to speak to the customer.
No, you're not going to speak with the customer anymore.
Desperate to talk to the victim.
You have already spoken to the customer enough. Okay?
Please take the phone him, sir. You have no business to wait.
Yes, sir, I do. But fraud and theft. Because no bank takes Bitcoin as payment. If you have a problem with this, you call the White Settlement Police Department at 24817. No, you're not going to speak to the customer again.
Let her decide.
No, I'm not going to
take the phone from him.
No.
Hearing you out, honey.
Don't you love hearing base cops doing base things?
Yeah.
Take the phone from him. Take the phone from him. Sir, please allow the customer to speak. You don't have any right on the phone line.
I've seen him.
No, you don't need to speak with her.
Hello? Yes, ma'am. Now, just on the machine, ma'am. Just you click on I'm done, then I will speak to him.
No, don't click I'm done. Do not click anything.
No, I won't.
No, she is not submitting any money to you.
I'm done, ma'am. Click on I'm done.
No, listen to me. Listen to me. She is not clicking on anything.
Listen to me.
You really want to fight this fight with me?
That's not your problem.
Yes, it is my problem because what you're doing is committing a crime. That makes it my problem. If you were in my presence right now, you would be in handcuffs going to jail.
What you are trying to do, Christine?
You still haven't gotten her name right, you freaking moron. You don't even have her name right.
I'm sorry?
That's your money.
No.
So satisfying.
I just got confused.
Yes.
Please click on I'm done.
No, she is not going to click. She is not going to click it.
And that was all the footage, unfortunately. But yeah, what do you guys say about that? Based cops being based cops.
Yeah, about time. That's a good one. Shows that while it's the institution that's rotten to the core, not the
cops themselves.
It's rotten. And yeah, but individual cops are still capable of doing good things.
Which, of course, Harry and Mike refuse to admit at all cost.
Definitely not, because you know that next time there's a black nationalist terrorist attack resulting in death of cops, that they would do a half-hour apologist video for it.
Of course. So yeah.
Yeah.
So no idea what happened to those scammers. Fuck them. But I don't want to do the stereotype because there's so many people doing like stereotypes, like all their innies and all that. I don't want to get that stereotypes, but if they're in a foreign country, I don't know if there's much you could do about that. And hopefully, because she did put in like $24,000, hopefully they were able to get that back and all that. But yeah. Absolutely needed intervention and all that. Cops aren't inherently bad people as always, and also watch police activity. I know a lot of people in love are going to be triggered by this because all they do is just show body cam footage and stuff like that. They're not police activity is not like some sort of like Blue Lives Matter, Blue Shield stuff or anything like that. All they do is show all they do is show like dash cam, body cam footage and all of what's going on. And almost all the times, because very often, like most of videos do have like shootouts happen. Almost every single time, it's always self-defense from the cops and all that.
Yeah,
like, people always pull out guns and all that and lead to their own shooting and all that. And there's so many times where they actually help people and all that. And of course, they also show when cops do bad. They also showed footage, the whole hour-long footage of what happened to George Floyd, for crying out loud.
Oh wow, multiple hours.
Yeah, it was like an hour long, the whole entire thing. They show multiple times cops doing bad. So they're not like a Blue Lives Matter or Blue Shield thing. They're being neutral and objective, which is why you all should watch them. And not be squeamish about it, like I do every single damn day while working on stuff. So yeah, so yeah, guys. ACAB. Not all cops are bastards. You gotta go on an individual basis. And yes, there is police brutality in America, and that needs to be combated. But don't just assume all cops are bastards. There's nuances and all that.
Yeah.
All right. So that is all for this episode. Looks like. So see you all next time for episode 106.
See you then.